Yeah.
VeeFam, welcome back to another episode of the VeeFam Sessions. My name is Mr. Messer, but you can call me Rob, and I am over the moon excited tonight for two very special guests. We have Jay Roberts, aka IJ Rob, the godfather of VeeFriends cards, and his business partner, the one, the only teacher, Mr. Tom Gervasio. Guys, I'm so excited. You have no idea. Thank you for being here. How are you?
That was quite the intro. I'm great. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so glad I brought my business partner.
I'm on this side on my screen, so you look like you pointed at Rob. That's fine. I'm so excited. Let me shut this thing off. But I'm glad to be back. It was a highlight of my life to be on the VeeFam Sessions the first time.
It was no privilege.
So, just for context, some housekeeping. Both Tom and Jay are returning guests. This is going to be more of their origin story together, specifically with To the Moon cards, their baby that they had together. But I highly, highly recommend you check out both of their episodes because they're two of my favorites. Tom, episode 28, back in at the beginning of Cardboard Summer 2020. Jay was on episode 39, way at the beginning of January 2024. So please, please, please tap into those if you haven't for their specific personal origin stories. But for the context of today, would you guys just give us a 30 seconds on who you are for maybe if someone is new to the world and your relationship to each other? Let's start with you, Tom.
Jay's the business part. So I'm Tom Gervasio, proud father and husband. This was before I heard the word Gary or heard the name Gary V, right? 55 seconds, cut in half. So co-owner of To the Moon Cards and Collectibles. We are live stream breakers and now entering the distributor world for cards and collectibles. I also own a biohazard remediation company in my private life. It's a crime scene cleanup company that I've owned for just about 7 years now. And that's still going on. That's my day job and streamer by night.
Mr. Roberts.
Yeah, Jay here, a longtime VeeFriends community member, but father first, husband first, family first, just a lifetime collector of all things. It's changed over the years, but been a lifetime collector, and then decided later on in life to turn that hobby into a business where I have created To the Moon cards and collectibles with Tom. By trade, though, I also am a computer engineer as my day job, and this is my evening side job. Yeah, so it's great to be here.
Amazing, and I'm so happy to have you. For some contextual bullet points, resume highlights for people that may be tuning in. Tom, of course, early to the game in the VeeFriends cards world as far as recording. First, he recorded opening boxes privately and then would post them, and that evolved into being one of the first that would do it live. And then here comes box battles, great moments with Gary. One of the first memories that at least I have of Gary entering the chat. A lot of fun stuff if you dive into that first episode. And then Jay, the first person ever to complete a Series 1 core set for the Zero Cool, the 2022 set that we all love and treasure and seek out. Started the VeeFriends cards account, which he handed over to the team. I always think that's a cool fact. And these guys live and breathe this stuff. I want to before we go to present day, I want to hit childhood for a second. You both said you were lovers and collectors early on. What was it for you? What was the thing for you, whether it be IP, Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles? What was it for you, Tom, when you think back to being a kid?
Yeah, IP that comes first to the top of my head is Ninja Turtles. I was a Ninja Turtle kid. I had all the figures. I still do, I think, in a toy chest somewhere in my parents' house. I even remember collecting the cardboard that, that they came on, where it was plastic up front, then the action figure, and then there was the cardboard that had hung from the rack or whatever. I even had all of those in a binder. So that was my first real IP that I fell in love with that I can remember. But aside from that, I mean, as far as I didn't know I was collecting, I just wanted to play with them. The first thing I collected to collect was probably comic books.
No, okay.
Yeah, and I'd say for me it was probably started with Ghostbusters. The Ghostbusters IP was huge for me. I had the pack on the back with the wand and the trap and the whole thing. That was I had to have it all, right? And then it led into Pogs and then Beanie Babies. I was I was flipping Beanie Babies like it was my job at a really young age, going to shows, trade shows, and just craziness. And then that kept going later on into adult life. But yeah, crazy.
Were you, as a kid, did you have all of the cases on your tags?
Oh yeah, I had the protectors
Yeah,
and the tags. I
of
had
course you
the
did.
print books that had I was like on the AOL message boards, like doing trades and stuff, like pre, Discord. There was AOL chats and stuff.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it was wild, wild times.
I thought I didn't have to work a day in my life because I had a princess die.
You were done. You could retire. Yeah.
TY baby. By the way, I think they posted some piece of content where they were at some trade show and they on Instagram, Rips and Tyler, maybe Andy, and they were at a TY. They stopped at the TY booth,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that I that's gonna be a thing. That has to be
It has to come back eventually. All this stuff comes around.
the
I mean,
VeeFriends TY collab has to
yeah,
happen.
yeah.
So fun. Do you remember Ninja Turtle pies? It just popped in my head when you said
Ninja
that,
Turtle
Tom.
pies?
Yeah,
No.
that does ring a bell. So like the Hostess, like apple pies.
Sure.
Mhm.
So they have that kind of picture, that packaging, like frosted, amazing frosted, like
No way.
concoction inside. It was just like vanilla cream, but they dyed it green,
Green.
and they had all the characters on the outside. That was the snack. That was my Grail snack as a kid. Limited time.
I guess I never was really a snack guy. I just,
What a shame.
sweets.
What a shame.
Yeah.
So I think I want to talk past, present, and definitely future because you guys have so much fun, exciting, innovative things going on. But I'm a sucker for love stories. I'm a sucker for origin stories. I'm a sucker for love stories. Let's go back, and I think we all want to know how this relationship formed, this business relationship and friendship, and how the To the Moon cards kind of meshed from being Jay's to both of you. So I will give you that ball, and however you guys want to run with it, however detailed or
It's
not detailed
cloudy.
you want to get for, give us first date, everything.
Jay's memory is kind of garbage, right? So like I have this version in my head of
Let's
how
hear
this
it.
happened. Tom has a good memory and tends to tell the story the way that it probably did happen. So I'm gonna let Tom tell the story of how this happened. Yeah.
So, as you mentioned, I was streaming. So I started streaming card openings for a small group of people, one being Jay and a few other super OG before anyone really cared about Series 2 cards. And was recording it privately, posting it. Then I was like, let me figure out Twitch, and that's how that kind of started. And then more and more people would come in just because the openings got fun. I was posting the clips, and um, Jay and I had been in this group chat of OG card collectors of Series 2, but we really didn't know each other at all. At least to my knowledge, I knew you as someone who collected the cards, but even on X, I wasn't even that involved in it. So I knew of you through that group chat only. And, when it came to VeeCon, which is really where we met for the first time in person, you had a booth. To the Moon had a booth. I don't even know if I think you, to my knowledge, and you can correct me, you just came up with To the Moon cards and collectibles, like, because you needed something.
Yeah, it was in the Indianapolis VeeCon, just to clarify, second VeeCon. I wanted a company that like I love I like the upward, the positivity of To the Moon when it comes to value and collectibles and things like that, and then just the little nod to VeeFriends. I just thought it was perfect, so I just rolled with it. But yeah, it was really something I came up with in like at midnight one night by myself. Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
So,
nothing special there.
and
Yeah.
so Jay got noticed by VeeFriends because of his massive collection, right? So they gave him a booth, and this is where we disagree. But this is what actually happened: is that because I was doing the stream and like people were starting to watch it and get excited and all of that, he had said like, listen, I have this booth happening. Would you like? He and Lee were going to be manning this booth and setting it up and to sell their cards and display it. Asked me if I would come like MC almost, like maybe do some breaks, maybe do stream there. And again, I barely knew both of them. Lee was also in that group chat. So, but I was like, hell yeah, that sounds like fun. I planned on spending a lot of time in Gary's garage sale anyway. So at VeeCon, there's a section of VeeCon where, vendors that are selected by the VeeFriend team and VeeCon team to set up booths. So Jay was allowed to set one up, and so the year prior, the very first VeeCon, whenever there was a lull, I went to, it was called the flea market at the first VeeCon. And so anytime it was in between speakers or it was like not something that I was participating in, I would always found myself going back there. So I knew I was going to spend more time there. And because I started to stream, I was way more into cards now and all of that. So I was like, I'm going to be spending a lot of time there anyway. So I'll go, that sounds like fun anyway. We'll do breaks. And we kind of started coming up with ideas of like, how can we get more people to the booth? So it was really just like, hey, do you want to do this? I have this thing going on. You have that thing going on. Maybe we can combine it at VeeCon. So
I said this the other night. I feel like Tom had a skill set that I didn't have, which was that on-stream personality, charisma, like ability to entertain people like no one else in the community. Like just I was the kind of quiet collector that ripped boxes by myself in my office, and would kind of binge that on my own, And I was like, I think I don't know if it came to me. I think it started clicking, I think pre-VeeCon, where I was like, maybe if I bring Tom in a little bit here and there and we could work together and we could take this yin and yang and kind of come together, it might click. And it made a lot of sense. And it did work, right? And it did fit. At VeeCon, you and I, we had a blast together. We had a lot of good laughs. And the booth was highly successful, right? People were coming in left and right. It was like the hangout spot for the collectors, right? It was great.
As someone that wasn't into the cards, it definitely was a hot spot. And this was before you guys dual streamed. I mean, Gary coming in was a big moment, I think.
That was fun.
I think back to that like Ross like speech out there by it.
Right there.
There was a lot of happenings there.
It was.
And it was properly set up. You had giveaways. Someone, Jay Loom in the chat saying, you raffled off a complete Series 2 set.
Yeah, a complete rare set.
There was like a scavenger hunt. He hid stuff around the stadium.
Yeah, hid stuff all around the stadium.
Ahead of it was
Kirby's dad, was obsessed with the scavenger hunt and was just obsessed with finding stuff, and he found a lot of the things. Gosh, that was just such a good time. I'll never forget, because both of you were there at VeeCon 1. We got to get into the stadium a day early for VeeCon 2. And I'll never forget walking through those doors and seeing what they had built for Gary's garage sale without no prior knowledge of what the space was going to look like. And they had built the little garage bays, and just I walk up and there's the To the Moon sign and the table. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is way better than last year and way better than I had in my head. It was just a kind of a pinch yourself moment. I loved it.
Hearing Lee's name is such a throwback. I think I told one of you this story. I can't remember who, but I didn't have a place to stay for VeeCon 2, and I was in the Discord trying to find a place. Long story short, Lee had an extra room at his Airbnb. I didn't know Lee, but I got a room. I was very grateful that he offered it to me, and showed up, and he was he had all of these rare cards. And mind you, guys, this is a time VeeCon 2 is pretty much the start to cardboard summer, when the majority of people started paying attention to the cards. I was all in with VeeFriends, and I had outside of watching Jeremy maybe break some boxes, I had zero knowledge of the cards. And Lee had all of these, he was super into it. He showed me all of his rares. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. He told me he was trying to build a rare set or whatever. And then one of the nights, he's like, yeah, I'm having all the card people over, and we're going to, have a party, have a get together. And I'm like, oh, thanks. But I think I have this other thing I'm going to go do. And in retrospect, it was probably all of you freaking guys. And I would give anything to go back and be because you probably were partying in my room. People literally had to walk through my bedroom to go to the bathroom. And so here we are, years later, full circle. So
I'll tell you, you missed a hell of a night. I was crying laughing because that's when I got to meet a lot of the people that were in that group chat. And so like AT, that's where I learned how hard AT could make me laugh. And just, it was Josh, RJ, it was like, it was all the card crew that's still doing it. It was a blast.
So a big moment, Gary bought a whole bunch of cards. And by the way, you mentioned VeeCon. I always like to give perspective. There was maybe like 10 VeeFriends cards at the first Gary's Garage sale.
Yeah.
There was hardly anything. Series 1 had just come out. You guys were pretty much the only game in town, I think. Maybe there's some cards at another table, but that was pretty much it. And then in comes all these streams, and we don't need to go into the nitty gritty, but as far as like your recollection in momentum and what you guys were doing, maybe it was your first official stream together. What do you remember about like that cardboard summer of 23, like picking up? Because that's a real significant era on this whole big timeline, and you guys were a big part of it. So take me back to maybe it was the first official To the Moon card stream, or what you remember about that block of time.
This is where it gets kind of fuzzy for me, because that's May was VeeCon, and To the Moon we didn't start dual streaming until August.
Okay. Interesting.
Right? I feel like that's when we incorporated and when we started doing that.
I think I started hopping on your stream a lot more.
Well, I remember that when we did the very first ever Series 1 box break, it was Polish and Big Dave both sold their boxes, and they had it. They were coming up on stream. People bought it. It was the first time we did any sort of like selling spots. And I asked Jay to come on as the godfather of Series 1 cards. And you probably bought into one.
Yeah.
Or two, or both, and I just said, would you just stay on because you're known for Series 1 cards?
Right.
And at this point we had a relationship. We met and we realized we lived not far apart. We spent all of VeeCon and all that. But that was one of the memories that I remember of you being on stream ever.
Yeah.
I think you wore the Ted Lasso jersey.
I don't see that memory. I don't know what I wore yesterday. But yeah, I mean...
the first time I ever saw it, and then I've seen it 100 times since. So it's like
funny. I love that jersey. Yeah, that sounds right. And then I just remember like at some point, all I remember is us saying, "Yeah, let's do this, and let's make it 50-50." I think one thing we've never talked about though, and I was a little worried about. I haven't really talked to you about this, Tom, but you were
my apprehension.
You were not your only apprehension. And we've never talked about this, but you really were apprehensive to change the channel name. Like, I had to like give you your space on it because I was like, this is like his baby, and he's built this from the ground up. And you were like, it was a moment. Like when he changed that, it was a big moment
from
for
Teacher's
him.
Collector's Corner.
Yeah. So the thought there was not like a ego or a selfish thing. I guess you could look at it that way, actually. But what it was trying to build a personal brand. That's what Gary had always promoted. And this is the first thing I've ever built myself. Yeah. And even though it was minuscule in the world, you know what I mean? But like in my world, I was doing the videos, the back and forth with different people, with the Texas guys and Josh, and like doing all these things and then creating the box. But like I had to come up with all of the ideas on my own and choosing the guests, coming up with the ideas, promoting it a lot. Like there's a lot of work that goes into it. And it was the only thing I've ever built for myself. And so I had no problem. Well, I always never really wanted a business partner. Like in the business that I own currently, like I've turned down every offer to bid. I just didn't want to have to like ask permission to spend my money and have to. So it was something I was a little bit apprehensive for protection of myself because I'm hard to deal with. And, I didn't want to split it, split something and then something goes south and then you have to, that's like a whole world. And then if it changes, then it's like, do I change it? So all of those things went through my head. I was apprehensive to changing the name because that was a person. And it wasn't that I didn't want to have it To the Moon. The decision was, do we start a new channel? Do you remember that? That was the conversation, was do we start a new channel and start from scratch. But then I would continue to do stuff, and that it wasn't like, no, this is mine, get away. So it really, I you gave me space, and it really didn't take long though. I think it took like 24 to 48 hours of me just thinking hard about, if I do this, I'm kind of giving up, like, not that teacher is a great thing to like build up, but a self brand, and now I'll be part of a brand rather than being the brand that I was going to try to grow. So I was apprehensive, but when I really thought about it, I'm like, I didn't want there to be two different channels, two different streams, two places for people to subscribe to and pay to subscribe, right? That was always the decision. I'm like, we'll give us a head start. And honestly, after 24 hours or 48 hours at most, I was just like, nope, we're doing it. And then, it was Teacher's Collector Corner for a while. I don't think we switched it.
We didn't switch it right
till
away.
like 2 months later.
Yeah, and that was me giving you your, like, I never ever like bugged you to like change it. It was like, I know someday we will. Like, I kind of knew, like, because we started cooking together, right? And like the channel started to grow even more, and I was like, I think we'll get there, but it had to be on Tom's time, and it was for good reason. He had good.
I feel like we didn't even talk about it until that months later. That's why. So I know, like, the timelines get, once it was like, is this something that we go into? And it was probably around the same time that Chelsea joined in, right? Because wasn't somewhat
possibly
close to it. I don't really remember. See, like, this is where the fuzzy memory.
So I think if you're saying, you got going August, September, I think she came along a little in October, November. But she started working with you. But as far as timeline, May after VeeCon 23, now we're going back a few months, like, you started streaming a few times a week on Teacher's Collector's Corner, and it became like, for the first time, like, there had been nothing like that. And I'm just like talking as someone that pays attention and like was into it and got sucked into the community aspect, the fun aspect, like how much fun you could have on stream with a little bit of commerce, the box breaks. Back then it was like, if you bought a box, and it was winner take all. So like the stakes were high. Boxes weren't $400, but still, like, you're gambling. So there was a lot of fun aspects. Twitch Gary, like, there's a lot of little nooks and crannies that we could go into, but at large, it was like entertainment value that wasn't coming from VeeFriends. It was made for VeeFriends, by the community, and it was like must-see TV. Like, we wouldn't watch shows, and we'd watch breaks, and that was my first time thinking back, like, wow, like this is fun, and like these people, I like these people, and that's how Chelsea got sucked in. Chelsea was not, like, I brought home a bunch of cards, like we started doing it with Finn, and that helped, but it was the content and the community that was building. Yes, it was funny, but it was, it was semi-consistent, and it was happening. So regardless of what the name was, like, you could sense it building.
You and Chelsea were first box battle.
That's right.
So, like, that was pre-J. That's post VeeCon pre-J. That's why I'm like, that was in May. So I think June is where, like, the box battle where Tim Livingston pulled the first one of one on the channel. You guys did the box battle. That was when Gary was in the chat for the first time, and the chat started going nuts. The Addison stream was possibly the next night or a few, like, the same week, something crazy like that. So many, memorable streams in between those things. And then, like, at the end of July was the National. I didn't go. Jay went and did a tournament. I had no part. I still, like, we were not to the moon yet. I was not a part of To the Moon when that tournament happened. I had nothing to do with it, right, Jay?
So you, at some point, all right, we're not going to ask Jay any more of these questions.
Don't ask me dates.
So I was going to ask him how many Series 1 boxes that he thinks he opened in his basement, but I won't. I'm not even going to go there unless you want to later.
You can't even ask him how many boxes there were. He'll get it wrong.
I didn't bring it up. You did. So, okay. So you guys say you're going 50 handshake deal. Like what did you envision at that time? And we'll talk about your aspirations in the present day, but like was it just to make some fun content and build a, enhance the card community to make a few bucks? Like, what was it? Like, building a new brand and working together, like that's a lift, right? So what, like in the early days, what was
I've been talking a lot, Jay. You go.
No, I think it was we both had a ton of inventory and just a desire to grow our audience. I think at that time we felt like we were building something really special, something really entertaining, and it was like, okay, let's scale this, you know? And whatever it took, whatever craziness, it was just a real time of creativity, experimentation. Let's build a website. Let's do this. Let's get Chels to do the socials. Let's all we could do to just kind of start growing the brand, not really knowing where it would end up. I think we would be lying if we said we knew where it was going to go a year from that point. But we knew we had to get inventory, grow the audience, and make it entertaining, right? And that's what we did.
Yeah, and we were both doing that stuff. Stream aside, we were both sourcing inventory anyway. So we were hustlers. We were in the Discord. We were on eBay. We were both cut from the same cloth in that way. It might be the only way that we have, cut from the same cloth. But that is that the core values of what we both could see it going. A lot of the stuff we make it up as we go. But I think if you go back to that time where we teamed up, Jay was known for cards, I was known for streaming cards, like let's combine it together. It really needed to work between us. Our core values needed to align for it to work. Once we got that part and it was understood that, they do, then it was, okay, where can this go? And it's changed a few times, but I think where we're at and where we, like the year we have, was a dream. It was like pie in the sky situation that we could have dreamed about and did dream about back then. Like one day we'll get this going on. One day this. For now, we're still too small. We need to work on just growing the audience. That was the biggest thing. Let's get the most followers. Let's get more people onboarded to VeeFriends. Like we weren't even thinking like let's branch out to other cards yet. We were like, let's source VeeFriends cards. That's what's hot. Cardboard summer. Everyone's into it. How do we do it? And so all of the discussion at that time was, how do we get more VeeFriends into the streams? Because there's a lot of VeeFriends, right? How many thousands of owners? They all got cards at some point. So it's like, how do we get them interested in watching the streams?
That makes a ton of sense. So, in that time, we also have like the Tom and Josh online feud, which was really grabbed attention and helped both shows and both streamers. And then in comes at some point Chels finagles her way into the company, and if you ask her, she just started a group chat with you guys and pitching ideas like she was already on the team. I don't know if you remember any differently, but eventually she's on the team, which brings us to November 10th, 2023. November. Let me back up a couple of days. November 8th. Gary, the famous in our little world here, you fucked up, which Chelsea made awesome teaser content for her first stream, which is a Series 1 box break, which at that time was, I don't know. I mean, a Series 1 box break is an event regardless of when it was pulled. I want to pull up the video from November 11th. And there's a few different vantage points from this. My favorite, I don't know about you guys, my favorite is the one where you could see the chat. It's a time machine. And it was an event, and I'd love to hear your take on this from where you were sitting, but it was an event that I felt like the whole, even though they weren't there, I felt like the whole VeeFriends community was there. Am I sharing?
I cannot see it.
Sorry, I got a technology. Are you with me?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. All right, so this is November 10th, 2024. 2023. To the Moon, As to the Moon, Box Break, Soggy Waffles, buys a whole box, and here we are.
I still get
No,
Soggy has no clue.
no clue.
No clue.
We knew, Jay.
Gotta
I
go
don't know
walk my dog.
I don't know how many times you've watched that, but it's
It's been a while, but hundreds back
it
then.
hits every time.
It does. Wow. It got my
I
seeing
know.
those 2 ears, like it just gets you.
So a colossal from a pure history perspective, no emotions added. For the first time, you have the iconic character, which is becoming more iconic by the day, by the announcement. The first time this ever Black Cat gets pulled on your stream in front of everyone in a box break that was very well advertised. It had a lot of steam going into
Mhm.
it. A lot of people were there. A lot of people were tuning in, and it's the biggest stage and the biggest moment. Your thoughts, Tom, thinking back to that and what it meant to you maybe then and how you look at it now.
I haven't seen that video in a while, and it just puts just the biggest smile on my face. Cause and I love that extended version where it's like, just you see the 2 points, and I'm like, we're all on the same page here, right? And people were Jay's like, hold on. Even Chelsea, I feel like she knew, because she was even like, I'm sweating over here, because those two, it's the first time I've ever even seen a Black Cat card. So I was assuming that's what it was, but I didn't know for sure. Like, we see those 2 points now, probably from that video. You know what I mean? From anyone that's been pulled since. So, like, it just, from her doing, I even hear you in the background, like it's just everything. It just absolutely warms my heart, that video. It's like the core of To the Moon in one short 1 minute clip. What was the question? I just got too amped.
It was just, it was very open ended. How do you feel looking back on it now? And what did it mean to you then?
It really, that night launched a lot of things, the friendship and ingrained soggy waffles in all of our lives, right? And it also, some things was in the works, but it really solidified the CGC sponsorship, because we were in talks. We met at Comic-Con the month prior, but once that happened, we reached out and we're like, hey, here's the thing, here's why it would be good, and that led to the next thing, that led to the next thing. So there was a lot kind of starts around that. Cardboard Summer was amazing for getting to know and meeting a lot of new people, but I feel like To the Moon, started launching from that night, where we started getting really strategic about, here's what happens on stream. We were trying to just make a good show, and then it was like, how do we use what happens on stream to leverage other things? And that's really changed a lot in the way we look at things.
Anything to add to that, Jay?
No, I mean, I just agree. I think that moment was like what you hope for. Like, maybe again, that's one of those, maybe someday we'll pull a Black Cat, and then or a Black Cat 101. And then here we are a few months in, and we pull, and we haven't seen one since, right? And so it's an iconic moment that I'll always remember. Like, that one I do remember. Yeah.
It is, yeah, like you get the chills thinking about it, and especially like you just said it, like it hasn't been done yet since. And reading back, Gary's comments, like the founder, like the creator of this, not only the IP but the community. Rips is in there, Andy, so many people from the team, OG card people, new card people at the time. It was just a really, really special thing. Which sets a whole bunch of things in motion. As you said, the CGC sponsorship, collaborations. Let me just rattle off a few things from 2024. If you're watching this, I'm also going to pin a kind of highlight reel from 2024 of all the moments from there. But like, just to rattle off a few. We have the CGC. We have continued box breaks. We have a talent show, hacks and snacks. Really, really thoughtful, well attended, meaningful celebrations and fundraisers for community members. Savvy, the Gentle Tornado, Moonopoly, Friday nights, first ever collaboration with Courtyard IO, where you put cards on chain and have a raffle. These are big, innovative things. So and that's all in just 1 year. I mean, we're blazing through 2024. So like at this point you're in it. What's happening? Like are you planning for one collaboration and you just kind of sink your teeth into it and it things happen organically? I know you guys were on a mission, specifically you, Jay, to really bridge the gap between Web3, digital collectibles, and physical. So are you playing chess? Like with all of this, like what's going on? Give us a peek behind the curtain of what you guys
Yeah. I
we're
think
doing
we
in
kind of missed that.
2024.
Yeah, when you asked us before about the foundation of the company, I think Tom and I both believed in that crossover between digital and physical, and the power the blockchain could have on physical collectibles. And I knew it was going to be a long road as far as that goes. Like to see the industry adopt that. The trading card industry is notoriously old school, right? And they don't always embrace new technology. And like, but I loved it. I was like, this is what the blockchain was built for. Like, this is proof of ownership of an asset, right? This is perfect. And I love what Courtyard was trying to brew. And I was with them. I was chatting with that team early days. I mean, they were super startup at that time. Nobody knew what it was, right? And Tom and I had to educate and had to like this is what it means to have a wallet and to this card is safe in a vault somewhere and you can redeem this. It was a lot to onboard someone to, but we believed in it, and that's why it worked, is because people saw the passion. We had spent a year more earning their trust, right? So when we threw that right hook of participate in this drop on Courtyard, trust us, it's going to be fun. You're going to have a good time. You're going to possibly get a nice card. It worked, but we went into that. One thing we have never talked about is that Courtyard partnership that we did got off to a pretty rocky start.
How so?
So it's fine to share at this point.
Yeah.
I feel. Yeah.
Well, it's not their fault. It's not
It's
either
not their
one of
fault.
our fault.
Yeah. So we had at the time Lorcana was like you couldn't get it, right? It was first chapter of Lorcana came out. If you're not sure what Lorcana is, it's Disney's TCG game.
First TCG ever.
Yeah, from Disney. We felt like with the hype of Lorcana, we could do a Lorcana drop on Courtyard and grow our audience by bringing Lorcana people in by using a different IP for the first time in our strategy, right?
Well, let's not to cut you off, but like we obviously wanted to do VeeFriends, but Courtyard and VeeFriends had something, right? They were like working on some, I don't know what, because we were never told, but basically we were said like we can't do VeeFriends cards, not yet. And so then we were thinking, okay, Lorcana's hot right now.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah, Lorcana was hot. There is a press release out there between Courtyard and VeeFriends, but never really developed into much for whatever reason that we don't know.
I remember now, yeah.
Yeah. So we graded a lot of Lorcana slabs. This was we had a sponsorship with them, but it was like not as big as like we weren't getting as much credit as we do now, and we paid for it was a significant investment of not only securing the product, which was selling above retail,
Right.
but then also grading it, which is a requirement for Courtyard. And literally at the last, like the day before we were going to announce it, Courtyard's legal team advised them not to leverage Disney's IP for a drop, just because they felt almost certain they would be scrutinized and sued by Disney for doing so. So
we were devastated.
We were devastated because we had we were so
like,
small. Like this was our bag. Like
our bag went into Lorcana. I mean, we had a meeting with Zach at Comic-Con, at a place at Comic-Con, and that's where we were like, Lorcana. He was like, yes, let's do it.
Let's go.
We went and scoured Comic-Con and bought booster boxes,
hobby boxes
at
for
like double price of what it should be.
But that was so that I could go to the CG booth.
It was, let's take this. We ripped it at the food court. Do you remember AT? You and I sat at a table at the food court ripping Lorcana. You pulled an Enchanted.
I did.
Which was like the big And we were like, let's grade all the foils, all of it, because we need cards, we need chases, we had it, our minds were going. And we then significantly invested in Lorcana, and then we spent thousands, and we still, like, the money we put together, which, behind the curtain, which, I don't know if it's too much to share, but like Jay and I, when we literally incorporated the business, we got a bank account, we got credit cards. We each put the same amount of money into a bank account. That bank account was strictly for buying inventory so that we can resell it. It's still the same bank account, right? And we're like, you buy stuff, you resell it, rinse and repeat. This was like, okay, this is a huge opportunity. We took basically everything we had left, and I think we even overreached, and we had to each put in extra from what our initial investment was, just to cover the costs as like a bridge loan till we can get this, because we're like, we'll get it back from when it sells. And so we significantly invested in this Lorcana drop. I mean, we're talking 500 slabs at a certain point, and we expressed it. We did it, not express tier, but like the advanced fast grading. We did, because they wanted to do it. They asked us to pick like a special night. They're like, pick a day for the drop that is significant. And it was like their anniversary or Walt Disney's anniversary. Like, there was some significance, but it was a short time frame where we didn't know if we were going to get the cards back in time. But we submitted a whole bunch there. We would overnight cards to CGC from anything we got. We bought a whole bunch. I think we bought some from Chelsea. We bought some from me. Like, anywhere we can buy it, we bought as much as we could, and sent it in like an express or some sort of advanced tier, overnighted it back, because we needed to not just get it to us, get it to Courtyard, and then they had to create hundreds and hundreds of and right as they're about to do it, they're like, we can't.
They had the product. We did it.
We did everything.
We had everything together.
That's so deflating.
It was
just a knife in the heart.
We were just like, oh man, are we like,
we're cooked?
Yeah.
But they are really good people there. So they took care of us to where they felt horrible, and we don't blame them. At no point were we like, this is not your fault. Just Disney is, they don't like people making money on their IP that didn't get your money already. So us buying Lorcana cards and selling it on eBay, not a problem. We wouldn't get any issue because we bought those cards. It's like someone who's profiting off of their IP that didn't pay for anything. So I have no idea. But either way, they were advised to just not do it. And it was in the 0 hour, and it was like devastating.
So you get knocked down. Thinking back to that time, was there a specific show or an idea or some kind of moment that helped you get back on the right track?
No, we just persevere. I mean, we just, they did something that helped us out, and we were just like, listen, this shit's going to happen. We were devastated because not money wise. I mean, yes, there was a financial commitment. We were devastated because this was going to escalate us. We are now our first like collaboration with a company that is on a rocket ship, and they are still on that rocket ship. And we were like, we're going to be the first, they were going, the logoed packs, everything, and it was all gone. And we still couldn't do VeeFriends. So we were just like, the collab itself was gone completely. We've never talked about this at all, Jay.
No.
So it was just devastating emotionally, because that was going to be such a big moment for To the Moon that now we can't, it's not like, oh, well, that didn't work out, so let's do VeeFriends. And then we did it. It was like shut down. There's no drop ever, because they had something going on with VeeFriends that they couldn't come to us for. So we had nothing else, and we couldn't go start buying something else to work on it.
So what happened to enable you guys to have the first VeeFriends drop?
I feel like I don't do you know the answer to this for sure? Because I
think
feel
we
like
just
at
were
some
patient.
point Adam Rips got promoted to head of Collectibles. And I think the relationship that we had with Adam and Adam had with Courtyard, I think Adam better understood what we wanted to do and kind of gave the green light for it, or got the green light for it. I think that's what happened, because one day Courtyard did reach out to me and and said, we have gotten the green light to go ahead and do this again with the VeeFriends drop, and this time it's been cleared with our legal team ahead of time.
Yeah.
And so if you want this opportunity again, you can have it, right? And I believe it'd be curious to ask Rips that someday. I don't know if he would remember, but I believe Rips had a role in that for sure.
Yeah, that'd be news to me. I don't know. To me it was just they had something and it didn't really pan out, so they were like, "Listen, we're gonna do it." So I'd be curious to know that as well.
My gut tells me he'll remember. By the way, I'm just noticing your shirt.
R.I.P.
Respect. R.I.P. Val Kilmer.
Had to do it.
So going back, man, there's so many nooks and crannies that I could dive in with you guys. But before we talk about the future, the community that was built, or let's talk about the product. Obviously, there's the cards product, the drops, the courtyard, the packs, the breaks, you name it. It's a great product. But let's talk about the entertainment. Let's talk about because you can't realistically, especially right now when there's virtually, you could turn on Whatnot at any given time, and there's probably a VeeFriend stream.
Yeah.
And there's definitely Pokemon and vibes, whatnot. There's no shortage of places to spend money. I touched on a couple of the games. What do you think draws people to what you guys have to offer? Because you guys have built something special. I mean, I could, we could talk the chat in a little bit, but I'm seeing the names in there, and I saw it on Friday nights firsthand when I would be like a little on-screen persona as well with Chels. Like there's something special you guys have built. What do you think? Just taking a step back and looking at it from a bird's eye, what do you think you guys have done to build this Moon Fam, this really strong community within a larger community?
I mean, I think Jay and I have, especially in those days, I was always saying I don't want to be a card breaker. That is not my ambition. I want to put on a good show first and, using cards. And so that's why we would have segments and stuff. I was like, I would watch Whatnot streams, and it's, people sitting there with spots available, and they're just sitting there waiting, right? And they're like pitching it like, all right, we got this many left. And I was like, I just don't want to do that. So I want to have fun. That doesn't seem like fun to me. It feels like salesman-y and all this stuff. So I want people to want to buy, not feel sold or pressured or anything like that. So, early on, we compared it or tried to. We're like, let's try to be like a Howard Stern type show where, like Jay's like, yeah, I'm the Robin. And, we have our whack pack and, and so we just, the way that they just have a show, but we're going to use cards, right? It's that is the center of it, but we wanted to be entertaining. And if we found it funny and we found it entertaining, that's what we felt would come through. If I'm not, one thing about me, if I'm not interested in it, it's like I get like physically ill doing something that I'm bored with. Like I can't, you'll lose me instantly when it's something I don't want to do. And that's why I could never break. I couldn't do what Chelsea did, or I'd have to do it the way Chelsea did, breaking sports cards. I don't know it and I'm not interested. So it would be completely fake. And I never wanted to do that. So to me, it was always, if we enjoy it, other people enjoy it because they'll feel how much fun we're having.
I think we've always included the community too. I don't think we've fenced off, this is the Tom and Jay only show. I think there's been some more of that because we had to, and the limitations of Whatnot and things like that. But for so long, it was like, yeah, let's have this person on tonight, or let's call this person out in the chat, or let's bring this person up. Like we opened it up, and I think the community just embraced that and was just like, this is a spot for the community. Originally, there was, like you said, Rob, there was nowhere else to do that, right? Like that was the spot. That, Josh's show, maybe one other, right? But that was it. And yeah, it was great times. I think the yin and the yang, back to that, like I think people like to watch our conflicting personality. Not that we like our opposite personalities.
Yeah,
Let's say. I think people like to see the way that we interact. It's as real as can be. Like that's how we talk on the phone sometimes. Like it's just
it's true.
like they like to see me shake my head or Tom just be so annoyed with me or all those things. Yeah, I mean it just works. I don't know.
I think part of the special thing about community, there's like an overlaying, like, if you know, you know, aspect with
Mhm.
little nuances, and you're just kind of like grandfathered in. You've like done your initiations, and there's so many layers of that when you guys are streaming. Whether it's the little, something like the fuck glasses, or like last tip of the night, or the chair breaking.
Great prices.
Great prices, right? Like it's all embedded, and it's all part of the culture, which is so addicting. And you compile that with great content, great promotions. Like I think people don't know how long it takes to create a video like you guys do, to promote a
Like
typical
Tom.
random Wednesday in May stream. Like, it's a lot of work, but it's, at the end of the day, it's worth it because it helps people buy in and just kind of helps further cultivate that environment, that ecosystem that To the Moon Cards has, because it does have a different feel. Like you said, the yin and the yang, that's perfectly said. Like the self-depreciating, humor,
That's
Mhm.
like it's all in there. And then in comes the corporate storyline, and I don't know, I'll let Chels say that she made it up, but like the corporate storyline, like that was all time. Like,
Mhm.
to think of you guys as like, to see you on stream and to think of you as like these almighty, like,
The
suit
HR is
wearing
here.
folks, like sitting by a phone making decisions, is phenomenal. But that's all part of the gag. That's all part of the fun. But it is a special place, as far as, and when that real this is a great segue. It's when it really hit me was VeeCon. We talked about VeeCon 23. VeeCon 24 is a whole different ball game. And maybe you saw this differently. I don't think you left the booth, but from my eyes, I'll let you talk about your perspective. My eyes, like, the whole card community, the absolute hub, the meeting place, was the To the Moon booth. And it wasn't an easily accessible place. It was at the end in San Jose. And people still find their way to congregate there all day, every day. Talk to us about your VeeCon 2024.
Yeah, you had to go past the porta potties to get to us. That was cool. Fucking
We
200 degrees. Here's a tent. Um, it was so we didn't they like didn't let us know that we had a booth till later, but we assumed we were gonna have one. We were really hoping, and um, it was an honor, and we were so thrilled that they allowed us to have a booth. Jay a booth again, and me my first time like being able to be a real part of it. I mean, we wanted it to be the place to hang out. We were saying that on stream leading up, like, guys, if there's a lull in speak, like, come hang out, because we knew we were going to be there, and we didn't know how crazy it was going to get. We didn't know where it was going to be. We got details last minute of all of that, and so I mean, I was like, we're all the way over here, where the entrance is over here. Like, you couldn't. It was like on another island. But we were just like, screw it. Hopefully people will find us and come looking for us. And they did. I mean, it was absolutely overwhelming in a good way how many people showed up. The community showed up, and it really did become the hangout. It could what I envisioned or hoped for it would be, it was better.
Jay, do
it
you
was
remember VeeCon 2024 in Los Angeles?
I was
You're
there.
like,
It's a whirlwind for sure. We worked so hard. Even getting things there, across the country. Shout out to Poker Pros who took in inventory for us for weeks. We would just send him just mass shipments of stuff. Shout out to Soggy who helped us set up and tear down. Like it was a shout out to the VeeCon crew. Like there was some people in that team that like looked out for us, took care of us, opened gates for us, secret gates and things.
yeah.
Like it was
Leash was
just
a big help too.
Mish, yeah, like Slowpoke. I could go on and on. Like there were so
Yeah.
many people that that helped. Ben Kine, the Fro family. I mean, like so many people like pitched in because they knew they wanted to see us be successful, and it was like this was their spot too, right? And so like let's make it happen, right? It was just gosh, what a few days. Like you said, we were, imagine my reaction when we roll up, right? And we open and we get in there and we see that the booth next to us is going to give away thousands of free cards to people that we at the booth next to that are trying to sell, right? At first, I was like, oh my gosh, they're giving out, it was Fanatics Live, was giving out,
Fanatics Live app. If
yeah,
you
it was giving out
downloaded the
cards
app
like
in
it was
front of them, they gave you
candy.
a free slab.
Yeah. And I was like, you know what? But in the end, it brought people in, right? And they're like, I've got one. Now let me see what else there is, And
Or
we were
even
right next to
better,
it.
they would get it and then try to sell it to us. And
Like, oh,
we
where
would
did you
buy
get
like,
that? I don't
it's a
know.
Gem Mint 10. We're like, we'll give you $5. And they're like, okay, because they just got $5. And it's like, we got cheap inventory. They got their money for free.
Nice.
Yeah, that was crazy. And just the success of those few days, like from a community perspective and a financial perspective, and we put these mystery packs together. I was like, Tom, I don't know if these are going to sell. We made too many. I'm
We had
Mr.
no idea.
Pessimist, like we had signage, we had it all. Like it was an awesome, like we did it right, and we walked away from that so exhausted but so proud of ourselves.
How many packs were made?
300.
Well, it was definitely, it was the party. It was the place to be, and you guys absolutely crushed. I couldn't even get in there at any time I went. And a side note, both of you elected to be speakers for 2024 VeeCon, and you also had the first ever Series 1 box break live on stage at VeeCon, which was a moment. And Rare Robot, I don't have any notes about in this, but Rare Robot, wasn't there another big hit in there?
It was a very rare robot. I mean, Core Panda, Core Alien, the gold bold as fuck bat. I had two.
Yes.
Yeah,
Banger box.
it's right. You can't see it. I have the and it graded a 10, and I had
Probably on your other vaulted.
What's that?
Probably on your other vaulted.
No, it's right there. It's just off camera. But like I had there was a one of Bandicoot that I sold before I even got off the stage because Whiskey bum rushed me. It was great, and there's actually even a story there. I mean, because VeeFriends reached out and said like, we would love for you guys, To the Moon has to be on the community stage, but just one of you, and so they were like, so we just feel like one person, one representative per community, whatever. So it wasn't going to be both of us. That was like a last minute decision that we got both were allowed to at separate times talk.
And we didn't, just to be clear, we didn't push back on that. Like that wasn't
No,
wasn't
we were
something that
honored.
we can think about. I
We were
think
honored.
without naming names, I think the community pushed back a little bit on that. I
Well,
think
Which again,
Yeah.
we would never ask for. We were happy. Between us, it was like, why can't you just put an extra chair up there? Right? But aside from that thought, we were still like, they asked us to be on the stage at VeeCon. We're happy until like the announcement. I was not asked, or I was not coming on. I was not speaking on stage until like the third wave. I didn't know that I was going to be on stage until the first wave of announcements came out. Jay's going to be on stage. This is great. And then I was not, and I was very okay with it. And then it was like weeks. It was like weeks later that they let me know that, hey, we want you to actually be on stage too. I was like, okay. I don't
which
think
was
it was
great.
planned.
2
I think
separate
that there was
panels.
pushback
Yeah, I
or
think that
questions.
community.
which makes sense, and it's like, at the time, like you guys had the hottest not VeeFriends program all the
Yeah, but
time,
they
rightfully
gave us
so.
our flowers. They let us. They
Yeah.
allowed us. They were like, there's space for one, and that's it. I do have Twitch up now, and I see the Gary just making you sweat. They didn't say, hey, Jay, you're on. They let us decide who goes on.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like letting, just ask Jay and not Tom. They were like, we need one person from To the Moon.
Yeah, we got a call one day from Jeremy and Daniel, and it was like, congrats, but here's the asterisk, right?
Right.
And Tom and I felt like I forget the topic of the panel was more about
Just
the
cards
industry.
Yeah.
It was about the trading card industry as a whole, and we just felt like I knew it better from a 30,000-foot view than Tom did. That's what made us.
Yeah, they were like, go ahead and go talk about it. And I was like, there's no discussion. Just put Jay's name down. Like I always
tough.
am I talk too much as it is. Like Jay deserves this. Jay needs to be on. You know what I mean? So it was we didn't even have a conversation. And they were like, oh, okay. It was like done on the same call. And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it was just cards and collectibles as an industry, which Jay knows way more.
Well, and looking back, I mean, that box break was all time. Again, everyone pulled up. Great moment. Another highlight on the To the Moon resume as a really cool thing to have happen.
That wasn't planned either. That was something I asked if I could do days before.
Yeah. You've been holding that box since mint, right?
Right after mint. I bought it secondary for it was $200 above mint price. Nice. So I got it for $23.50 or something crazy. And I've just had it in the vault. And I've been waiting, and I'm like, I remember at VeeCon 1, I remember saying to myself, or really I said it to my cousin, I was like, I want to build something someday that I get asked to be on a VeeCon stage for. And so when it happened, I was like, there's no better time to do it. Luckily, it was a good box. But yeah, that was a last minute decision that I just thought would be fun. An extra added layer. Funny little side note. They never told Josh he was going to be on stage with me. He found out that he was on stage with me when the announcement or the schedule for VeeCon came out. And he saw his name. I was announced that I was going to be on. They never told him. So he found out with everyone else that he was on stage with me. He texted me and was like, dude, I'm on stage with you. Like, he would ask me like, hey, congrats on it. And I'm like, yeah, you too. And then he would ask a question and I'd be like, he's like, when is your panel? And I'm like, do you not know? But they say you can't tell anyone. So I'm just like playing along. I'm like, no, I'm not sure yet. And there was a lot of that. And the schedule came out and it was public and he texted me. I'm like, he goes, dude, they never told. It's such a VeeFriends thing to do. It's just
that's such a great side note. I'm so happy you said that. Quick little reset, guys. Jay and Tom from To the Moon Cards. Thank you for being here. This is a live VeeFam session on the VeeFam Network where education meets entertainment. You're going to have a chance in a few minutes to ask some questions. If you guys don't mind, this is actually a historical moment. I have my first sponsorship. Been doing this for years. I have my first sponsorship, so can I quickly read one?
Congrats.
I've never done this one before. Here we go. Attention VeeFam card resellers and streamers looking to expand your inventory and bring exclusive collectibles to your audience. Join the To the Moon Cards Distributor Streamer Network. To the Moon is the exclusive distributor for live streaming breakers of Orange Cap Games, Vibes, TCG, with the highly anticipated Legend of the Lil set dropping this summer. Get access to your exclusive products before the rest of the market. Boost your stream sales with these high-demand collectibles. And, of course, join the growing network of top-tier resellers and breakers. Sign up now at tothemooncards.com and start scaling your collectibles business today. Thank you for To the Moon Cards, the first ever sponsor of the VeeFam Sessions. Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking
crush that, Rob.
Crushed it.
Your radio voice is on
Guys,
point.
Great segue. First of all, thank you. Thank you. It means a lot. And I think a lot of people are going to look back on this time where I'm getting paid $450 an episode, and they're going to say, man, did they get a deal? Did they get a freaking deal? Guys, you have entered a new era. I think it's safe to say that the Courtyard fiasco did not keep you down.
No.
Talk to us about vibes, how you got into it, and then bring us to the present day where now you're the only game in town. You're the only way for people to get the second series of vibes if they want to resell it and whatnot. Which, by the way, we haven't even touched that. I think we all know whatnot is a juggernaut. Gary V, live commerce, the whole deal. Talk to us about your role though, because it's super exciting and super. Another great resume highlight for you guys.
Yeah, so towards the end of 2024, we learned that G Penguins was putting out a TCG, and we were like, this is in our world. We gotta reach out. And so just a DM to their general OCAP account, and just a really open arms team they have there, and they were all about our passion for this Web3 collectible physical digital space. So we've been talking again for a long time of what's next. I mean, we're streaming, it's going great. Yes, we can expand the streams, or we can expand the business, or we can try to expand both. It's always both. But we looked at it as at first a way to just to grow the stream, get a new. They have a very strong community, the Pudgy community. So we thought that would fit right into the Moon Fam, And so we reached out, and they were very receptive and allowed us to get in early to the first edition right before launch. They were willing. They overnighted us our cases that we had to buy at retail price and all that. But just so that we can have a live stream with it, they had a team member come up, and that was such a fun night. And we introduced vibes to our world, and it went really well. And there was no online game. We didn't even know that one was coming at that time. It was just cool cards made by good people, and the game seemed like it was going to be fun, but we didn't know anything about it at the time, other than this is a NFT project having collectible cards, which is what we know.
Yeah, I mean, and fast forward, Orange Cap had huge success with that set. They sold millions of cards, and the game is super fun. Like that night, I reminisce on that night because like I'm not a TCG player. Now I am, but because of vibes. It's so fun. The game is just keeps you engaged, it's strategic, makes you think. It's got all the things that you'd want in gameplay. And we got to really get into the game, Tom first, then me a little later on. And then that led to just deepening our relationship with the Orange Cap team through doing continued breaks, continued buys, continued sales with them, meeting with them, having dinner with them, going to play a tournament at their office. It's relationships, right? And it's two groups of good people coming together with like-minded and they're willing to take risks. We're willing to take risks. They're new. We're starting up, and so it was just like the synergy between us. It was like we could tell early on that there was something big here for us, that this was going to be a big part of To the Moon. And so, Tom and I had just been throwing ideas out there to each other on a regular basis of like, what's next, right? How are we going to take this business? I think, Tom said we could grow the streams. I agree, but we would need more people. We would need other streamers because we're tapped. Like I work full time, Tom works full time, families, So like expanding To the Moon with other streamers, I don't know. It just like Chels crushed it, but Chels knew us and knew the brand and knew our audience, right? It's very hard to find someone to do that. But we thought about all the problems, all the mountains that we had to overcome in those first few months and years building this brand. And one of the biggest consistent hurdles was finding inventory. Finding inventory that we could buy at a price that we could have even a small margin on. That was consistently one of the biggest challenges for us. And the trading card world, as I mentioned before, super old school, is dominated by these massive distributors that require you to either have a physical location or to sell millions of dollars of product online, right? That leaves out all these new people that are coming on every single day to these live commerce platforms and trying to do a side hustle or even try to do a full-time business. It makes it extremely challenging. And so Tom and I just started tossing around the idea of like, what if we tried to solve that problem? What if we tried to build distribution for the little guy, but not distribution with some garbage. Like it had to be distribution with a product that we loved and could be passionate about and really sell and help other people break and just intertwine into what we're trying to do. And it was like the timing of it all just worked out so well. We went up to New York, met with Orange Cat, and we're like, we're going to pitch this idea to him. We asked for some time to sit down with him, right? I do sales for a living. Like I'm on a sales team for, for large deals all the time. And I was way more nervous about this than a big deal that I would do in my day job. But I think it went really well and they loved it. They loved the idea. And we went back and forth in some negotiations and contracts and things. But in the end, we are creating a distribution service for social commerce streamers. We're starting with Orange Cap. That's not going to be the end. That's where we're starting. We're starting with Vibes. With our second set, we were able to secure pricing that allows those people that are legitimate streamers. We need to vet those people. We need to make sure that they are actually streaming and not buying it for themselves. But if that's the case, they'll be able to buy product at wholesale to sell at retail, giving you that margin, right? And that is something we haven't even gotten into day one of this, and I'm like so excited about it.
It's a huge step. And hearing you talk about it, I don't know if you feel this way, Tom. When Jay gets in this flow, like it happened when you told me, when I asked you, how did you collect all the Series 1 cards so quickly? And you just kind of started to like flow in your strategy and how you did it. Like it's so engaging, and like there's like a magnetic force where like I just want to be better at everything in my life when you get into that flow. And you just did it again when you talked about this distribution service. So first of all, congratulations. It's big because you guys are, you're elevating your stature, and it's a whole different funnel, a pillar of your business, and like network is everything. So what do we do? Like I'm a whatnot, I'm a reseller, I'm into vibes, I'm digging the VeeFam, and I know I'm not deep in Pudgies, but Pudgies, like you said, they've been around forever. They're totally OG, great community. Like maybe you vibe with that. What do? Do you just fill out a form?
Yeah, so right now we're in gather mode. So we have this web form on our website, tothemooncards.com, as you so greatly put it in our sponsored ad. And fill out that form. That's really it. And we're not looking for people that know vibes in and out and are part of the Pudgy community. We are looking, our client target is just anyone who streams. Anyone who streams and breaks. And actually we're tasked by ourselves and OCAP to find people who don't even know what vibes are and introduce it to them. There are huge streamers on whatnot. There are pillars that have hundreds of viewers every time they go live. They go live every single day, all of that. That's not who we're targeting. We're targeting the small to mid-sized streamers that work their ass off because it's a ton of work to put on these streams, pack it up, sell it, ship it, all of that. And there's people that have 10 to 15 viewers, 25 to 50 viewers. That's who we're looking for, or just the people that are committed to it and, are into the hobby of TCG. We're not looking for, sports cards unless they also have an interest in TCG, but we're looking for the Pokemon streamers, the Magic streamers, the Yu-Gi-Oh, the One Piece, those types of streamers, and introducing this to their viewers, because that's the goal. The reason that OCAP is trusting us with this task, because they didn't need to say yes. They believe in us, but they also see the potential. Like Jay mentioned, it's a very old-fashioned industry, but it's so logical that live commerce streaming and breakers are here to stay. People love it. I don't go to card stores. There's not one that close to me, so like I don't go there often. But I shop on whatnot. So like it just makes sense. It's like that's the way we've always done it is not a good reason to continue to do something. So it just made sense to us. And when we, like, you can ask ChatGPT right now, is there any distributor exclusively for streamers or live commerce? And the answer is no. We just feel like that's such a gap. And for people who want to break in, it's almost impossible unless you have a brick and mortar store or have some sort of deal with a brick and mortar store to get it at a price that you can make anything, make crumbs sometimes. So, it just, to us, it's like a no-brainer. So what we needed was the trust of Orange Cap, and them being a NFT, Web3, emerging tech forward thinking people, they would be behind us. So that's where we did it. Like VeeFriends did New Year, New You. They gave allotments to whatnot streamers who they knew from their community. And that model is, we had this idea before that, but that's kind of what we're going for. Give the product to the people that will know it and are good with it, that were streaming already. They gave it to people that didn't know VeeFriends that well, to Disney streamers or whatever, but then they gave some to their VeeFriend streamer. We want to find the small to mid-sized people and enable them and empower them to be able to make a business for themselves while expanding the Vibes brand. We want our goal, which is in line with Orange Caps, is to go on Whatnot channels almost at any point, because that many people are now part of the distribution network.
It's such a cool thing, and it's such like there's this parallel like going on in my head of like, VeeFriends is expanding. Like we're getting to this Topps Chrome season, and that's going to kaboom. And obviously the same thing is going to happen for you guys, because every new streamer, every new circle of relationships you have is just going to continue to compound. And Vibes, obviously, like the powerhouse behind that. So this is super cool. I love the peek behind the curtain of how you guys are doing business. I know the chat does too. Definitely not the Tom and Jay we're used to seeing on stream, but I think we're getting enlightened for how kind and bright these guys are when they're not in character.
I always used to say, like, Tom is who I am. Teacher is who you see on camera, on our streams. That's a character, but it is genuinely me. I am that exciting. Ask Jay. I rant on the phone every single day, and the reason that this partnership works is because he tolerates it.
Quick couple of things before we get to our last segment, which is going to be a little bit different. And in chat, I know you may have some questions, so a couple more minutes. One of my favorite segments on the show is Remember When. So I'm going to give you a moment or a happening. I'd love to hear you, and I'll kind of, feel free to interject on each other if you want, but I'll kind of ping pong different ones to each of you. But I'm just going to kind of rapid fire this. Let's go to you, Tom, first. I think it's comic number 2. DJ started late 2023, like way late, like December. In comic number 2 features, it is completely obvious it's you, it's the bison, and the catfish, a la you and Josh competing. There's also a cartoon that's, I love it. As soon as I saw it, I literally laughed out loud when they're doing like a 3-legged race and it's the catfish teamed up with the bison. It's phenomenal. The first time you saw that, thoughts?
Yeah, no, it's surreal. It felt like I was immortalized in VeeFriends lore. You know what I mean? So it was very like an existential feeling of holy shit. Like they recognize and watch more than you think, and you do something sometimes, and you wonder who's going to see it, right? You wonder if it's going to be seen by anyone, and I think that they really try hard to find out what the community's doing, who's building what, and keep tabs on it. So I just think that the feeling of it was, it's what you would think it would be. It's incredible. It's you feel like you made it into VeeFriends lore, and that you can say comic number 2, that catfish, someday I can be like, that was modeled after me because I have the catfish. Like I can say that to my son who knows VeeFriends a little bit. Like we don't sit around and talk about it a lot. He knows the site of the cards, he sees the wall and all that, but he sees a catfish, he thinks of VeeFriends and me and how, why do you like catfish and all this stuff. So it's very cool to say that that's something that got recognized. It's a very, very cool feeling.
That's awesome. What a cool moment and a cool hat tip to you. Jay, I'm going to take it to something a little bit more present day. Take me to the time where you found out that we were partnering. I say it like it's me. VeeFriends is partnering with Topps Chrome, the mega brand for the cards, trading cards, sports cards. What were your thoughts and feelings when you first saw that?
It was like, I don't want this to come off the wrong way. It was so many people along the way thought I was crazy. Thought that, what the heck are you doing with these pieces of cardboard with these scribbles on them? You spent $1,000 on that? You know how many times people in my personal life and even in the community gave me a hard time about that? It was endless for the longest period of time, right? But deep down, I knew, and I'm passionate about this. Stop laughing at me. Deep down,
It's so much. I love it.
Deep
Bring
down,
it.
I knew Gary Vaynerchuk as a collector. I followed him as a collector before VeeFriends. And so I knew that he was not going to let this part of his business be a blip. I knew that this was his opportunity to build something that he really loved, And so when that's why I went so hard into Series 1, because these are the first, these are the grails, okay? So to see Topps Chrome, the biggest collectible IPs in the trading card world, embrace VeeFriends was a I told you so moment. It was I'm so freaking proud of this brand that I knew that they would get here. I never thought they'd get here this quick, but I knew that they would get there. And I remember seeing it. I texted Rips right away and I said, Topps freaking Chrome is what I texted him. And I just it was just, I couldn't believe it. I'm still amped from it. Thanks for getting me going. You know, you're so good. You do your research. You know what triggers me. And that
It's a moment that's stirring up emotions of all sorts in everyone that's been around. But I love competitive Jay. I really do. Tom, do you have anything to add to that?
No. Jay nailed it. I finding out was a very cool moment. It's validation, right? It's validation for what we all knew they could do, and we all believed in them, right? We spent thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars on JPEGs. The judgment there. What the? It's your show, not mine. What the heck are you thinking?
This is a you could say anything you want.
Get you out of your fucking mind. That's what it was, right? And then, okay, so now you bought a JPEG that got printed on cardboard and you're spending more thousands on the same thing. It's, like Jay said, it's like a shut up. I know this stuff just because I know you don't get it. People judge what they don't understand. They mock what they don't understand. And then they come crawling back, to say, hey, can you tell me a little bit more? I saw that they were in Topps Chrome. So it's validation and in conviction in your beliefs. That's all. It's more than just, hey, they made it to Topps Chrome. It's validation in our conviction for 3 years.
I love that. Very, very well said. And last, I'll pitch it to either one of you. Really, the TCG play has come a long way. I think we still have some ways to go, which is there's signs all over that's going to happen this year. But at the first ever official tournament at a VeeCon. Final four, you guys had your To The Moon team. Final four, you look around, and every participant in the Final Four is on the To The Moon team, rocked on the To The Moon jersey, which, some people see more metaphors, symbolic signs, take it what you will. But, it was a very, very cool moment for someone that pays attention. Your thoughts on either that specific moment, the people you were with at the time. Talk to me about that, either one of you or both.
The jerseys were a marketing stunt for the National. That's what it was.
For Josh's tournament.
Josh's tournament. We couldn't be there. Josh is hosting a tournament, and we said, there's no fucking way we're going to let Josh dominate this tournament without us making a presence. Now, the jerseys were supposed to be fun and like who's going, who's played against us on stream and all that. And Chelsea ended up going, which is great. I mean, that we needed that as well. But so we had our representation there, but it was a marketing stunt for the National. We didn't think past that, but we thought it would be cool one day to have like a franchise and sponsored players. But people loved it, and our player won then. Ron took home the first championship, and he was wearing a To The Moon jersey, so that just worked out really well. Then fast forward to VeeCon, we were going to be there, and we knew we picked the right people when we picked them, and we reached out to people that just came on stream. It wasn't like we thought these were really the best players in the world. It was just like people that we knew were super into it and have come on stream and have played with us. To see 4 jerseys and two of them being me and Jay in the Final Four was very, very cool. To see a table of 4 with 4 To The Moon jerseys was awesome. And I'm glad, like, we didn't ask anyone to wear them that day. It was, we asked at the National, we'll pay for the jersey, we'll mail it to you and all of that. But like, can you wear it? It was a marketing stunt. And then we didn't ask anyone at VeeCon to wear it. And they did anyway. So that's what's cool.
I wore mine. I'm still undefeated.
Well, you were an honorary jersey. We didn't say like Rob's he's going places with this game. So
yeah, it's so fun. Man, I'm really happy we're doing this. I've been talking to Jeremy. I coined this thing, like, I didn't coin it, I just like said it, but it's the more that I dive in, like the more I believe it. Like this BTC before Topps Chrome era, just these 3-4 years, we're in the good old days. Things are changing. Like you just said, your business is changing. God knows what's going to happen after the PSA stickers and the sapphires and the Topps Chrome and the shows, and God knows what other things they have up their sleeve to roll out in the next 6 to 12 months. Like it's evolving. Like we're having that evolving moment, like March 2022, with a rare robot going around, and everyone's like, holy shit, like these are gonna be really real characters that people like can stand to look at for more than 5 seconds. Like it's happening again. So I'm happy we can kind of encapsulate where we've come with you guys to this point together, because you guys are a big part of it. What you built is colossal for the VeeFam. So thank you for your time and everything you've done. And thank you for being the first sponsor of the VeeFam Sessions.
Thank you, Rob. You're just OG GOAT. Like you like, I love calling you the historian, because you are, and you're capturing this history, and I can't wait to watch this video in 5 years that we're recording tonight. I'm so grateful that you're doing it and putting in the time too. It's a talent, it's an art.
I appreciate it.